Some anime know how to throw a punch and make you feel it. We're not just talking about one-off scenes. These are shows where fighting is the core of the experience. Whether it's swords, fists, psychic blasts, or cursed energy, here's the top 10 that do it better than any other. Number 10. Black Clover. Black Clover had a rocky start. A lot of people dropped it early, but once it settled into its core cast and found its pace, the fight scenes became one of its biggest strengths. The magic system is built around grimoire spells, but the show doesn't rely on simple fireballs or lightning blasts. Fights escalate. Characters evolve their abilities. Battles often shift mid-fight as opponents adapt or combine spells in creative ways. Asta, the main character, doesn't use magic. That adds tension because his victories aren't guaranteed. Studio Pierrot ramped up the animation quality in later arcs, especially during squad battles and large-scale conflicts. Movement became smoother, hit impacts started to land with more clarity, and camera work began to follow the action in more dynamic ways. Some of the best fights come from secondary characters, which gives the world more weight. When you watch a fight in Black Clover, you can tell who's fighting, why it matters, and what the outcome might change. It's not always perfect, but when it clicks, it's more than entertaining. It's satisfying. For a series that once felt generic, it now stands out because it actually knows how to deliver action that moves the story forward. Number 9. Bleach. Bleach's return wasn't just about finishing the story, it was a full-scale correction. The Thousand-Year Blood War arc brought in better animation, better pacing, and fights that finally felt like they had impact. Studio Pierrot cleaned up the visuals and made the combat feel tighter. Fights became faster, but they didn't lose clarity. Sword clashes had weight. Abilities looked refined. Characters fought with a sense of urgency. It wasn't just one character standing in place while narrating their power. There was motion, pressure, and consequence. The arc also cut down on filler moments. That meant more time was given to the fights themselves, not just the lead-up. This version of Bleach didn't rely on nostalgia. It rebuilt the way Bleach approached combat. The result was a modern action series with polished execution. It's a strong example of what happens when an older shonen series is given the technical resources and direction it needed from the start. Bleach now looks like a show made for fight scenes. It finally fights like it means it. Number 8. Naruto. Naruto. Shippuden isn't always consistent, but when it delivers, the fight scenes are some of the best in anime. The series stretches over 500 episodes, yet many of its most important moments are resolved through combat that feels personal, emotional, and calculated. Studio Pierrot didn't always have the cleanest animation, but the best fights were carefully choreographed. Hand-to-hand combat stood out because of how well the timing and reactions were animated. The use of jutsu evolved with each arc. Characters didn't just gain new powers for show, they used them with more intention. A good fight in Shippuden isn't just a display of strength. It shows how much the characters have learned and how far they're willing to go to protect what matters to them. Even long after a battle ends, what happened during it still affects the story. That lasting effect is rare. Some fights are flashy, others are quiet, but the common thread is that they always reflect something internal. You watch growth in real time. That's what makes Shippuden's fights memorable. They're not perfect, but they still hold up because they actually mean something. You're not just watching action, you're watching consequences. Number 7. My Hero Academia. My Hero Academia treats fighting as a test of identity. Every quirk is tied to the user's personality, limitations, and decisions. That structure makes the combat feel more layered. It's not just who has the stronger power, it's who understands how to use it under pressure. Studio Bones handles the animation with precision. Movements are clear, attacks have rhythm, and the energy of each scene matches the emotion behind it. No two battles feel the same because no two characters approach fighting in the same way. Some rely on raw strength, others on timing, strategy, or adaptability. That variety keeps the action fresh. The fights often reveal something new, either about a character's mindset or their place in the larger story. They develop alongside story arcs, which makes them land harder. This balance between amusement and purpose is what makes My Hero Academia stand out. It's action that feels earned. Not exaggerated, not rushed. Just deliberate, clean, and full of meaning. Number 6. Attack on Titan. Attack on Titan changed how anime frames combat. From the beginning, the show treated battles as survival rather than spectacle. The movement system, 3D maneuver gear, gave fights a unique visual identity. The fights are often brutal. They're fast, chaotic, and never clean. There's always a sense that someone could die. That tension sets the tone for every encounter. You don't watch these fights for style alone. You watch because every move feels like it could be someone's last. Some of the most effective scenes come from how quickly everything can fall apart. The animation keeps up with that danger. The violence isn't glorified, it's messy and sudden, which fits the world the show builds. The combat tells you everything you need to know about the setting. This isn't about winning, it's about surviving long enough to make it matter. That's what makes it stand out. Number 5. Mob Psycho 100. Mob Psycho 100 approaches fighting in a way that feels completely different from most action anime. It's not about power levels or flashy finishes. It's about control, emotion, and what happens when someone loses balance. Studio Bones animates each battle with energy that feels unpredictable. One moment the screen is calm, the next it explodes with color, distortion, and motion that looks like it could tear reality apart. The direction from Yuzuru Tachikawa keeps things grounded in Mob's emotions. His fights are never just about the enemy in front of him. They're about what's going on inside. That's why they land so well. When the animation ramps up, it's not just spectacle. It's a reflection of what he's holding back. That emotional tension makes the action more than just movement. Mob Psycho 100 doesn't just deliver fights. It delivers something you feel long after they end. Number 4. Vinland Saga. Vinland Saga isn't packed with fights every episode, but when it does break out into combat, it never wastes a moment. The action is grounded. It feels raw, heavy, and deliberate. There's no magic, no fantasy energy attacks, just blades, fists, and survival instinct. That simplicity gives every movement more weight. Studio Wit handled the first season while Mappa took over the second, and both studios kept the focus on physical tension and emotional buildup. Characters don't just swing weapons, they make decisions in the middle of chaos. That clarity of thought adds depth to the violence. What sets this anime apart is how it uses combat to develop character. You learn who someone is by how they fight. Some seek glory, others survival, some want to prove a point. The fights are intense but not reckless. They're precise and they often end faster than expected, which makes them feel more real. No background music oversells the moment. The show trusts its silence, its pauses, and its violence to speak for themselves. Vinland Saga's fights don't feel like entertainment. They feel like consequences, and that's why they stay with you. The action doesn't just tell the story, it is the story. Number 3. One Piece. One Piece has been running for decades, but the fights have never been an afterthought. Early on, the animation was simple and the pacing slow, but as the story moved into more intense arcs, the quality of the combat changed. Especially in the Wano arc and beyond, the team at Toei Animation stepped up. Fights became sharper, more creative, and more tightly choreographed. What sets One Piece apart is how unique every battle is. Each crew member fights in a way that reflects their personality, strengths, and history. That variety keeps things unpredictable. Beyond the animation, the emotional core of the fights is what holds it all together. People don't fight just to win. They fight for their crews, their beliefs, or to break free from something bigger than themselves. One Piece earns its battles through long build-up and payoff, and it still finds ways to raise the bar. Number 2. Demon Slayer. Demon Slayer built its reputation on how it handles action. From the very first season, the animation stood out. Ufotable made sure every fight was clean, fluid, and visually detailed. Movements have weight. Techniques have rhythm. Attacks flow with a sense of purpose that makes each swing of the sword feel deliberate. But what makes the fights work isn't just the way they look, it's how they connect to the characters. Breathing styles aren't just moves, they're part of the fighter's identity. The visuals change depending on who's using them, and that gives each battle a unique feel. You don't just see the fights, you feel them. They build tension and push characters to their limit. Demon Slayer takes the shonen formula and polishes it with a cinematic touch. It doesn't just deliver action, it delivers some of the cleanest execution in the genre. Number 1. Dragon Ball Z. Dragon Ball Z set the standard for anime fights. It didn't just popularize energy blasts and transformations, It created the framework that modern shonen still builds on. The show's best fights are more than power displays. They're tests of endurance, mindset, and emotional grit. Every clash feels like a standoff between belief systems. The pacing isn't always fast, but it knows when to slow down and when to explode. Each moment adds pressure, and every punch feels earned. The show also focuses on how far a character is willing to go. Most battles aren't won with brute strength. They're won by pushing past limits. That theme runs through every fight, and it's what gives them lasting impact. The visuals might seem dated now, but the feeling they carry still lands. Dragon Ball holds the top spot because its best fights still feel bigger than the characters themselves. There you have it. If you like this list, stick around for more anime recommendations that don't waste your time. We break down the shows that actually deliver, whether it's fights, story, or both. Like, share, and subscribe so you don't miss what's next.